Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. We're almost to the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and only one more series to cover that we haven't before in comic form, since there are no Enterprise comics. Star Trek Voyager. Voyager is a great example of a wonderful premise ruined by laziness, ineptitude, and just the potential problems one can have with burnout. Voyager was supposed to be the flagship show of a new television network owned and operated by Paramount, UPN. And considering UPN isn't around anymore, you can probably guess how well that turned out. But how could they possibly have failed when they had such quality programming as Homeboys in Outer Space? UPN aside, Voyager had a great premise. A Starfleet vessel flung to the other side of the galaxy, an area completely unexplored by Starfleet and no easy way to get home, but the crew also had to integrate a group of renegades called the Maquis into them, setting the stage for conflicting styles, personalities, drama, and a journey home that could show us things never before seen in Star Trek. Unfortunately, most of the staff had carried over from the Next Generation, where they were already starting to run out of ideas for episodes. As such, the new things to discover were slightly angrier, more boring Klingons, ordinary humans in ugly shirts, a species we've already seen before, a species ravaged by disease that steals a crew member's lungs, and are just sent on their way with a stern warning, a species we've already seen before, Garbage Men, a cool hunting species that got less cool when they took off their masks and then they were Nazis. A really cool species that by their final appearance made them completely lame. Elves, a species we've already seen before, who have been reduced to a laughingstock because Voyager kept beating them. And Amelia Earhart. Mind you, all of that would have been fine as long as the stories were overall good and they stuck to their premise. But they weren't, and they didn't. A Federation ship lost in hostile, unknown territory without supplies or the ability to go to dry dock for repairs. The ship should be increasingly damaged and the people under constant stress. It makes for compelling drama, tough choices, and interesting character development. Whoops, I seem to have hit the reset button! Again, and again, and again! The ship is attacked by aggressive species and is heavily damaged. Reset! We have supply problems that are not resolved by the end of the episode. Reset! It's infuriating! Character development did happen, but not as frequently or as logically as you would have wanted. They're reset just as much. And as for that whole integrating two crews thing, yeah, maybe it's a factor in the plot in like half a dozen episodes scattered over 7 years, but more often than not, it might as well just be made up of regular Starfleet personnel for all the difference it makes. The show barely had long-term storylines at a few points, but it was more likely that they just didn't care to take any risks. Voyager occupied an hour of television, and you shrugged and moved on with your life. Sometimes they had good stuff, but otherwise it tended to be bland and annoyingly nonsensical. And then there was our captain, Janeway. Now, there's a lot about Janeway I actually really like, but this is the person who said that her principles were more important than the lives of her crew, who rarely acknowledged her mistakes and just seemed to like to torment her crew at any opportunity. And the episodes were often structured to make her right even above logic, common sense, or plain old morality. But of course, remember that this is just my opinion here. If you liked Voyager even more than DS9 or TNG or anything like that, you go right ahead. But I'm not gonna pull my punches on what I think is a bad product. Although, I can understand that position, especially because there was a lot to like about Voyager 2. The holographic doctor, the occasional episodes that were legitimately good. 7 of 9, catsuit notwithstanding. The actors are wonderful and brilliant even when the characters are not. And of course, the Batmobile armor from the last episode. I frickin' love that, I don't know why. And if you're wondering why I'm not wearing the actual uniform for Voyager like I did 2 weeks ago, well, I have like 3 of that uniform, and none of them fit properly. And I couldn't get another one here fast enough, so enjoy what Starfleet was wearing near the end of the series. But enough about the series itself, let's talk about comics. As I said in the DS9 review, Malibu took advantage of the lack of forethought to have the comic license extend to all future shows, and were able to snag the rights to make DS9 comics. They plan to do the same for Voyager comics, But then Marvel got into the picture. Malibu had a revolutionary coloring process for their books, and Marvel wanted it. And since this was in the middle of the speculator boom, when Marvel was hemorrhaging money and acquiring stuff left and right, they bought Malibu to get their coloring process, and the proposed series was cancelled. In 1995, the license at DC was up for renewal, and it was decided to put all the Star Trek titles under one publisher. Marvel encouraged Paramount to go with them by making a special imprint specifically for the Star Trek books. Paramount Comics, which we've seen already with some of the movie adaptations or the X-Men crossovers. They launched 3 series: the Voyager comic, a new Deep Space Nine comic, and an anthology book to cover the original series and Next Generation stuff. Eventually, all 3 would end and there would just be miniseries, but one ongoing that lasted longer than any of them was actually a Starfleet Academy series, the first Star Trek comic not directly associated with a single TV series or movie. But let's go back to the reason we're here: Voyager. And to assist us in this endeavor, because it's a Voyager comic, I couldn't resist inviting a little help here. I've mentioned him plenty of times for his excellent reviews of Star Trek episodes, so providing the voice of Parody Janeway for this review, SF Debris.
Thank you. Feel free to applaud.
When's Plinkett coming out?
Oh, shut up.
So let's dig into Star Trek Voyager #1 and see what Marvel did with Star Trek Lost in Space. The cover is okay, kind of blah, what with it just being Voyager and some of the cast over a picture of a sun? The Genesis planet? I'm not sure. It's just not a very high quality picture is all. Geez, we've got 5 main characters holding phasers and running at something, but they're so close together I'm pretty sure that B'Elanna Torres there is actually tripping. Collector's issue! Okay, I was gonna point out that that's bullcrap without a Mr. T trading card, but that just made me realize, why the hell hasn't Mr. T been in any Star Trek series? The new show better have him on there, preferably as security chief for the new ship. We open on the bridge of Voyager. In the uncharted reaches of the Delta Quadrant, the Federation starship Voyager continues on its 70,000 light-year course for home. It is guided on its journey by Captain Catherine Janeway, the first to command the sleek Intrepid class vessel. Yeah, sleek. Nothing says sleek quite like chubby gardening tool. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Voyager's design, or even the trowel-shaped saucer section in starships. It just looks kind of weird to me. Although, if we're gonna use Phase 2 concept art for Star Trek Discovery, clearly Voyager should have used this early concept design. The fins make it go faster. They've received a distress call from a ship trapped in an ion storm. Are we in visual range yet, Ensign Kim? Yes, Commander, but there's a lot of interference from the charged ions. Turns out he's actually watching a football game. I have confidence you can break through the chaff, Harry. Yes, Captain. It's coming in now. Another victory for Harry Kim. I bet I'll get that promotion to lieutenant I'm up for at the end of the month. They managed to identify it as being a Talaxian ship. Talaxians were a race introduced in Voyager with the main cast member Neelix. Neelix was supposed to be the breakout character of the show, a roguish figure who could comment on humanity from a completely outsider perspective. Instead, he was mostly a dim-witted, self-important jerk who kept trying to butt in where he wasn't wanted. Now, to be fair, the character had his positive points too, and his actor, Ethan Phillips, is a delight. But like Voyager itself, more often than not, he was just frustrating. And that storm looks like an 8 on the Barston scale. Because, you know, we're in space. Anyway, they move in closer to try to rescue the ship in a 2-page spread. The Talaxian ship founders in a maelstrom of brilliant danger. Wow, those people are in a very dangerous situation and could lose their lives. But damn, it looks awesome! Lightning leaps between the storm-tossed asteroids, feeding on their iron and nickel hearts. Within the vortex, they are like islands, but none is a safe harbor for the stranded vessel. Well, considering you just described how the lightning was jumping between the asteroids because of their iron and nickel cores, yeah, I don't think they would be safe harbors. Unless you're talking about Space Frankenstein or something. Anyway, for reasons known only to the creators of this comic, we cut back to a few hours ago on the holodeck. Yeah, no idea why it's a flashback. I suppose it's more exciting to start with the rescue instead of half the crew on a picnic, but there you go. The situation was not so dire. Laughter was the language of the moment, bringing together the disparate Starfleet and Maquis crew members. Ha 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 ha! Can you believe we were a terrorist organization? Oh, we have fun. What's even weirder is that everyone is in natural, comfortable clothes, including Tuvok, the Vulcan security and tactical officer who's in a sweater. It just looks weird. One of the other people they brought on board along with Neelix is Kes, from the aforementioned species of elves, aka the Ocampa. A 2-year-old Ocampa woman takes pride in the fruits of her airponic efforts. Okay, one, is she just bragging about them? Because otherwise, if the implication is that the plants she grew are in the holodeck now, why the hell would they be when the holodeck can just create fake ones and the plants they grow are really for food? Or does she mean the food for the picnic? 2. This is something that's kind of dumb for the show, since airponics is a misspelling of what the actual thing is. Aeroponics, a form of plant growth done without soil or even inside water like hydroponics. And yet in Voyager, we see the airponics bay still sometimes has it in soil. Whoops. Or is airponics different from aeroponics? Anyway, Janeway is there as well, talking to helmsman Tom Paris and Neelix. Mr. Paris, Mr. Neelix, this program is nothing short of amazing. Yeah, it's really amazing how it's a field with some trees. Bet you worked really hard on that rock over there. Thank you, Captain. I must say I take great satisfaction in seeing you so pleased, Captain.
Well, get used to it, Hedgehog. You exist only to serve my whims. Now tell me why the hell you're wearing that picnic blanket as a shirt.
A dog comes running up, apparently also part of the program. Janeway's Irish setter that was left behind with her fiancé. Here, Captain Janeway can once more greet a cherished companion. Molly, you two thought of everything.
Where would I be without my familiar?
So, why did they recreate her dog for this program? We took everything into consideration, down to the most minute detail. This park lacks for nothing. We even installed a sex harness over by the brook. This park lacks for nothing. It took Tom and me all week to complete the programming on this picnic. In another life, Neelix was Slarty Bart fast. Yeah, and I've been waiting all week to run the baseball subroutine that I picked up on Deep Space Nine.
Death to the opposition!
Not exactly sure what you need a subroutine for, considering, as we see, it's just them with a baseball, a glove, and a bat. But yeah, Tom runs off to play baseball with Tuvok, Chief Engineer B'Elanna Torres, and Harry Kim. Okay, Tuvok, that ball is going to come at you with at least 3 degrees of torque at 140 kph, and watch out for a sudden drop. I trust your calculations, Lieutenant Torres. You have assessed your opponents well. Because I guess for this comic, Vulcan equals robot? Tuvok hits the ball, where it flies over to a creek where the doctor is fishing. Kes walks over to him. Hello, Doctor. Am I intruding? Why, no. It's always a pleasure to see you. Well, that was a creepy way of saying hi. Kes asks what he's doing. Understandable that she wouldn't know, since her species evolved in an underground environment on an otherwise inhospitable planet. It's called fishing. The primary object is to entice a species of Pisces onto a hook with a colorful lure or bait. But mostly, one is supposed to have fun. A hook? Doesn't sound like fun for the fish. Cass, you ate bugs once. Shut up. But enough of the flashback picnic that served no purpose. We're back to the rescue mission. They try to lock onto the Talaxians with a tractor beam, but the storm dissipates it. Captain, there's no way to maintain beam cohesion in this ion disturbance. Not at this distance. But fortunately, Torres has a solution. I can increase power to the emitter's subspace field amplifier and tighten the focal control patterns.
Using multimodal reflection sorting.
Voyager braves through the tumult of atomized space, plunging deeper into scorching bedlam. Outside, the ship's shields are battered by 1 billion particles per second, while inside, the engineering crew fights a taxed inertial damping system. There's your choice, really, with this comic. Outside, purple prose and flowery language. Inside, technobabble. The tractor beam systems have gotten all blowed up and they don't have time to repair them before the Talaxian ship is destroyed. As Janeway tries to think of a new idea, Neelix arrives on the bridge. Captain, I've just heard of fellow Talaxians in distress. How can I be of assist— Oh, dear. Yeah, he's making that face because everyone on the bridge is glaring at him. Neelix is a cook. This is what I mean when I say he butts in where he's not needed or wanted. The Talaxians contact them and say they're going to be pulled into the ion vortex if they're not rescued, and Neelix asks why they don't just use the transporters. Because the charged ion particles that comprise this storm have been proven to disrupt the quantum molecular resolution of transported objects. Pattern integrity is at severe risk in these conditions. Voyager is the show where I could use the multimodal reflection sorting clip every 5 minutes. Voyager flies in closer to try to extend its shields around the Talaxian ship and guide them out, but the Talaxians are insistent that they use their transporters to get them out of there. Janeway doesn't answer, but it's a moot point anyway. Captain, the shields are down to 45%. That's not enough to extend them around the Talaxian ship. Then I'll have to think of something else before both of us are destroyed.
I better bring in my top advisors. Dipsticks, assemble! I need an answer to this problem, and I need it 5 minutes ago. Literally, if that's possible.
Unfortunately, I can't offer much of a scientific solution. Everything your crew has said is utter nonsensical jargon.
Yeah, they always do that, Shoulder Adam. I just nod a lot and tune them out, and then when their lips stop moving, I tell them what I want done and make them do it. Then I take all the credit for it. That's what leadership is. Shoulder Cowboy, what have you got?
Oh, am I still alive? What is this place? What's happening?
Oh, Shoulder Cowboy, I can never get mad at you. Anyone got anything else?
You should eat the Talaxians.
I would, Shoulder Spider, but I'd need to get a hold of them first. Wait. Grab onto them. That's it.
One of the unique things about Voyager is that it's a ship that's designed to actually land on a planet. As such, it has landing struts on it, and Janeway thinks she can use them like hands to grab onto the Talaxian ship and pull them out. Harry, prepare to deploy the ground hover footpads. That's a very delicate maneuver. I'm not sure I can. No, I can do it!
Well, you'd better. Shoulder Spider has been telling me to eat you since you came on board, and this would give me an excuse.
Voyager descends toward the wounded craft like an angel of mercy, with shields blazing in a halo of deflected ions. Or like a trowel with 4 tiny little legs sticking out of it, and botched perspective on the warp nacelles, but okay, we'll go with angel. Voyager drops its shields to try this insane maneuver, and just how bad an idea this is highlighted by the narration. Anything less than pinpoint precision will cost Voyager. The skills of a former Maquis pilot and a Starfleet ensign must mesh into a single, flawless effort. Which is really an easy thing to do when your shields are down and lightning and asteroids are constantly bombarding you. Together, they must perform a maneuver that has never been done. A maneuver that the starship's designers can have imagined only in their nightmares. Then again, the designers also considered this design as another possibility for Voyager, so I think their imagination was a wee bit stretched already. 2-page spread of Voyager pulling the ship out. Not bad considering the buildup, but that just highlights how silly the earlier 2-page spread of the Talaxian ship was. Hampered by ship-wide power losses, Voyager can't extend its shields around the Talaxian vessel, despite its belly-grazing proximity. We know we already said that 5 pages ago, but we figured you were bored already. Shock of all shocks, this plan does not go well, and one of the landing struts is destroyed, forcing the two ships to collide, and the ship is just slammed with more lightning strikes. With no more options left, Janeway decides to try beaming them aboard anyway. What's the worst that could happen?
Enterprise. What we got back didn't live long, fortunately.
The captain said beaming is dangerous in this type of storm. I've got to do what I can to help. I'll go make a souffle! They inform the Talaxians they'll be beaming them on board, which apparently was their plan all along, as the Talaxians say to each other that they all know what to do. And so our comic ends with the transporter operator beaming them aboard, before something zaps and they disappear. Transporter room to Captain. We've been hit by ionic discharge. The Talaxians are gone, yanked away, into a quantum fissure. They could be anywhere in time or space. And so the Talaxians found themselves leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping each time that their next leap will be the leap home. Anyway, this comic is okay for the most part, but it's still not good. Aside from being loaded with technobabble and unnecessary narration, there's very little meat to this thing. Characterization is weak or almost non-existent. There's nothing especially wrong with the comic. It's just that it's incredibly dull, not helped by the completely unnecessary holodeck sequence that contributes nothing to the story. There's nothing unique about this so far that couldn't have been done in any other Trek series. It's just meh. It's not helped by pretty lazy artwork. The coloring seems really off, details are lacking in a lot of places, and everyone's making exaggerated poses, although that's not nearly as bad as the early Next Generation comics had it. Next time, it's another Patreon-sponsored review, the first chapter of a webcomic turned print fantasy comic. So, no holographic picnic. Sad, really. Somewhere during the storm, Ensign Monroe grumbles that if they just let him take care of this problem, everything would be okay. And he's right. Harry, prepare to deploy the ground hover foot pads. That's a very delicate maneuver. I'm not sure I can. No, I can do it!
Oh, Lord. The only thing more pathetic than your endless self-pity is your attempt at inspiring self-confidence. The only reason you're not dead yet is the Grim Reaper's laughing too hard to get a good grip. Now deploy the foot pads, Harry!